historic conflicts.
In 1095, a call echoed across Europe, a call to reclaim the Holy Land. Darkness envelops the continent, both literal and spiritual. The world is fractured, kingdoms sundered by war, faith, and ambition. In the West, Christendom stands divided. Kings vie for crowns, lords for lands, peasants for survival. Across the Mediterranean, the Muslim world itself is splintered. Once mighty dynasties now weakened by infighting and shifting alliances. Between these fractured realms lies Jerusalem, the sacred city, revered by all, yet held by few for long. A map flickers into view, parchment-like and ancient. Europe's patchwork of fiefs and principalities stretches eastward toward the Byzantine Empire, a battered relic of Rome besieged on all sides. To the south and east, the Seljuk Turks press forward, their crescent banners threatening Constantinople and the Holy Sepulchre itself. In this maelstrom, a voice rises above the tumult. Pope Urban II, Bishop of Rome, Christ's vicar on earth. In November 1095 at the Council of Clermont, he stands before princes and paupers, his words a thunderclap in the chill air. O most valiant soldiers and descendants of invincible ancestors, be not degenerate, but recall the valor of your progenitors, he proclaims. His voice, carried on the wind, stirs hearts as much as it chills the soul. Set out on the road to the Holy Sepulchre. Tear that land from the wicked race and subject it to yourselves. The crowd surges with emotion. Some weep, some cheer, all are moved. The promise is irresistible. God wills it, rings out, a cry that will echo across continents. For the knights, a chance at glory in land. For peasants, an escape from drudgery, a hope of eternal salvation. For all, the promise of absolution. Take up the cross and your sins are washed away. The response is electrifying. Across France and the German states, Italy and beyond, people of all ranks take up the sign of the cross. Some sew it onto their tunics, others carve it into their flesh. Armies form, elite knights in chainmail, their banners bright as stained glass. Foot soldiers, farmers wielding old scythes and faith as their weapons. Nobles, with their retinues and ambitions. Women and children too are swept up in this tide, some seeking safety, others simply hope. The ground trembles beneath thousands of feet as the crusading hosts assemble. Horses snort and paw the earth, armor gleams in the dawn light, and priests bless the standards adorned with the cross. Among them are figures who will become legends. Godfrey of Bouillon, the pious Duke, Raymond of Toulouse, the seasoned veteran, Bohemond of Taranto, the cunning Norman, and Peter the Hermit, whose fiery sermons ignite commoners like dry tinder. Meanwhile, in Anatolia, the Seljuk Sultan Kilij Arslan watches the gathering storm with wary eyes. His people too are survivors, hardened by war, skilled in the arts of horse and bow. Across the Levant, the Fatimid Caliphate and local emirs prepare their own defenses, uncertain whether this new invasion will be as fleeting as those that came before. The journey is perilous from the start. The so-called People's Crusade, a ragtag host led by Peter the Hermit, surges ahead of the main armies. Ill-prepared and undisciplined, they are ambushed and destroyed by Kilij Arslan's forces outside Nicaea, a grim portent of what is to come. But the main crusading armies are undeterred. At Nicaea, they lay siege to the city, battering its ancient walls with siege towers and catapults. Byzantine ships, sails billowing, arrive by lake to blockade the city. After weeks of fighting, the defenders surrender. Nicaea falls not to the Crusaders, but to their supposed Byzantine allies. Tensions simmer beneath the surface. The armies press on, crossing the scorched plains of Anatolia. Heat, thirst, and hunger claim more lives than the enemy. At the Battle of Dorylaeum, the Crusaders are ambushed by Kilij Arslan's horse archers. Arrows darken the sky, and panic threatens to break the lines. But discipline holds. Reinforcements arrive, banners fluttering, and the Crusaders drive the Seljuks from the field. The path to the Holy Land lies open. Months turn into years. Across mountain and desert, city and plain, the Crusaders advance. Their numbers dwindle. Disease, famine, and constant skirmishes take a toll, yet their resolve hardens. Every step draws them closer to Jerusalem and to the salvation promised at Clermont. In October 1097, the crusading host arrives at Antioch, the great city on the Orontes. Its walls are massive, bristling with towers and defenders. Inside, the garrison is commanded by Yagisyan, a shrewd and ruthless leader. The siege drags on through winter. The cold bites, food grows scarce, and morale falters. Some desert, others plot treachery. Disease sweeps through the camp. Yet hope is not lost. Desperation breeds ingenuity. Through secret negotiations, a guard atop one of Antioch's towers is bribed. On a moonless night, a chosen few scale the walls, open the gates, and unleash chaos within. The city falls, but the victory is short-lived. Barely have the Crusaders claimed Antioch when a massive relief army led by Kerboga approaches. The Crusaders, now besieged themselves, are trapped. It is here, amid suffering and starvation, that faith again becomes their weapon. A peasant claims to have discovered the Holy Lance, the spear that pierced Christ's side, zeal, buried beneath a church. Whether relic or ruse, it rekindles the Crusader spirit. In a final desperate assault, they sally forth, catching Kerboga's forces unprepared. The Muslim army breaks and Antioch is held, but at a terrible cost. Tens of thousands lie dead and the city is a ruin. Motivations on both sides are stark and complex. For the Crusaders, faith is a banner and a shield. They march to absolve their sins, to win eternal reward, to claim land and honor. Yet they are also driven by ambition, greed, and the promise of power in distant lands. For the Muslim defenders, this is no holy war, but a defense of hearth and home. Kilij Arslan, Kerboga, and the emirs of the Levant fight to protect their people and their faith against an unknown and relentless foe. The Crusaders march south. They pass through the ruins of battle, cities scorched by conquest, fields trampled into mud. By June 1099, little more than a skeleton army remains, perhaps 12,000 strong, a fraction of those who set out. They stand before Jerusalem, its golden dome glinting in the sun, its walls formidable. The siege of Jerusalem is brutal and swift. The city is held by Fatimid defenders, commanded by Iftikhar Adallah. The Crusaders, lacking siege engines, construct towers and battering rams from whatever wood they can find, even dismantling ships carried overland. Under the blistering heat, they pray, fast, and circle the city barefoot in a solemn procession. On July 15, 1099, the final assault begins. Ladders rise against the walls, arrows rain down, and the clash of steel and cries of the dying fill the air. Godfrey of Bouillon leads his men atop a siege tower, breaches the defenses, and the Crusaders pour into the streets. What follows is fury unleashed, carnage and horror, as defenders and civilians alike fall before sword and spear. One chronicler, Raymond of Agalay, writes, "In the temple and the portico of Solomon, men rode in blood, up to their knees in bridle reins. The massacre is remembered for centuries, its brutality both shocking and, to the Crusaders, divinely sanctioned. Yet for those who survive, this is victory and vindication. The city is theirs. Prayers echo in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, tears mingle with blood, and new rulers are crowned." Godfrey refuses the title of king, styling himself Defender of the Holy Sepulchre. The Crusader states are born, Jerusalem, Antioch, Edessa, and Tripoli, fragile footholds in a hostile world. But the cost is incalculable. The lands between Europe and the Levant are scarred, families are sundered, cities depopulated, trust shattered. The Muslim world is stunned but not defeated. Already calls for jihad rise in response, and new leaders emerge to resist the invaders. East and West are set on a collision course that will span centuries. The First Crusade, for all its triumphs and horrors, reshaped the world. Trade and ideas flowed along new routes, even as swords clashed and blood was spilled. Europe had reached out not just with faith, but with fire and steel. The Middle East would never be the same, but at what cost? Faith had inspired thousands to leave home and hearth for a cause greater than themselves. Some returned with glory, others with scars. Many never returned at all. The Holy Land was claimed, but peace remained elusive. The legacy of the First Crusade, its hope, its violence, its enduring questions, echoes still 1,000 years later. In the end, the Crusaders' banners fluttered above Jerusalem, but the world they left behind was forever changed. The story of the First Crusade is not just one of conquest and salvation, but of the human spirit, its heights, its depths, and the price it is willing to pay for belief. The First Crusade reshaped East and West forever, but at what cost?
Thank you for respecting history. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss any battles.